Let's go. Hello and welcome to LeisureCast. My name is Brian, here with Josh Olswich. Hey Josh, how you doing?
Just wetting my whistle.
Wetting your whistle. I did not.
People say that.
That's a very boomer thing to say. But I'm glad. I'm glad you're doing it. If you need it, then you need. I'm glad you're doing it. Hey, I wanted to tell the folks that if you go to Flip.xyz, that is the URL for my business. And it's a smart way to NFT. That's new too. We have a lot going on at Flip. We've been building the alpha of Flip.art, which we actually just closed back down because we're ready to prepare it for public beta coming in January. We're building some really awesome resources. You can join our Telegram. Importantly today, I would love if you go claim your Flip username. That's right. Authenticated logins on Flip. Flip.xyz. Go claim your username. You never know. It might be very valuable in the future. We're super pumped about what's going on at Flip, Josh. Super pumped. That's all I can say right now.
While I don't personally enjoy NFTs as a thing, I want your stuff to succeed, right? So
thank you. Well, you know, I think NFTs are a big deal in the tech standard of them. I think what they're doing in art is awesome, but I think art's just the playground, and we have a lot more to say about that soon, very, very soon. But in the meantime, go to Flip, claim your username. We have a working app and stuff, but to prepare it for public beta, we reduced it down to just the Flip username claim process. So you can go do that right now and join the Telegram too. Thanks. Josh, you're still sitting on Matic. I'm curious about what's going on in the market. Ethereum's 39.15 has now had 1, 2, 3, 4 something days in a row of piercing down 3,700-ish or below. Bitcoin has been grinding lower and still holding the 200-day just so, sitting at $47-ish thousand right now. There's not strength, but there's not total breakdowns either. The FOMC news was a temporary by the release of the news type of event. We just kind of melted down into it and then bounced as it began. Faded almost all of that today, and then now we're bouncing again as the legacy markets close.
Since you're on BTC for a second,
yeah,
that falling wedge fractal we're in now on lower time frames looks reminiscent of the high time frame falling wedge in May, June, July. So if you go to the 4 hour, the 8 hour of the current, everything below 50K, 52K basically, is basically a falling wedge with a bull div. So, I'm still looking for reasons to compel me for a long position.
Well,
I don't necessarily
the risk
see
reward
that.
Is quite good, isn't it?
It's good if we bounce, right?
It's good if we bounce.
But the question is, how confident are you that we're going to bounce? That's the question, ultimately.
I would say I'm in and uncomfy.
Is BTC worth a trade based on that setup? Probably yes. Would I feel confident to a great degree in that trade? No, I would not. Not at all. So those of you wanting to counter trade me, I guess now's your time. Max leverage, baby.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's obviously not to the bottom of the range. That's 30K. But the pain from where it is to 30K is severe. And if it dumps severely from here, it could break at 40. It could go down from 47 to 40, kind of the next level, right? Do I have confidence that it would hold 40? Not really. I don't like any of the levels below here. And we're really testing the limits of what's possible to sustain here. It's trying to create some kind of rounded bottom or something, which it's done several times. It's not comfortable.
Well, what here's my question. Would I rather do nothing or something? That's the first question. And the decision tree. If I'm at the trunk, do I need to do anything at all here whatsoever? I'd probably let some off the gas pedal, which I did on Enzyme anyway, but on BTC specifically. Could that end up being completely incorrect? Of course, but I still think the downside here is greater than the probability that we bounce, which is why it's like, what's your risk reward there? I think it's like 1-to-1, 50-50. Honestly, I think it's almost coin flip if it weren't for that bull div on the 4-hour, 8-hour chart on BTC. And man, this whole quarter just looks wrecked. Something that nobody is really talking about, like directly, is the China exodus. If you look at the wallets, if you look at the trading patterns, the seasonality, like intraday seasonality, all of that points to China just selling everything. ETH, BTC, the wallets all down. Huobi wallets down to nothing. So do we go up when that stops? I don't know, but I just feel like I have no good analysis of the situation. Like that ETH chart is abysmally gross looking to me.
Well, it's just like this is such a deep consolidation and retest to call it a retest, you know?
Yeah, we go from this orderly month-long rise that was seemingly not legitimate, like not organic, but at the same time was volatile enough to look organic, into this like hyper uber ultra volatile head and shoulders-y type fractal that's now below the neckline, you know? Still, like it made another shoulder. It's like third shoulder, and we're still below all the other the highs. So we're still making lower highs on that. I'd feel much better about ETH if we started making higher highs, obviously, because right now that thing just looks.
It is one of those where it's like, okay, well, if it goes into price exploration from here, then I'm willing to be in there for quite a while.
Right. Like I need a reason. I need a green light. I'm still sitting at the stoplight. I'm sitting at the red light still for ETH. I don't think you need to like go into full cash here on ETH personally, but I also don't think I'm going to be longing anything on ETH on leverage.
When you invert the chart, it still looks like a downtrend. So therefore in an uptrend currently. However, it also looks like 33 is totally reasonable as a place to retest. Again, what's that?
I'll say it another way. Like based on risk reward for ETH and BTC, I like spot. Spot's fine for me. Like for that stuff, like sure, like let it go to whatever it wants to go. But I think unless you're on low time frames, like this is me, right? I'm a high time frame guy. Unless you're on low time frames for ETH or BTC, I think it's dangerous to play this on leverage. Because yeah, ETH is up what percentage today? Like 3% or something? 5% on the day from the bottom. Like it looks good, right? But I just don't know. This could all just be a quarter full of chop from here on out, you know?
Yeah, I think a quarter full of chop would make sense.
I've just yet to see a compelling evidence for bullish continuation here.
I think
on really anything except Matic. Matic's like one of the only things that looks halfway decent still in curve.
Here, I'm going to switch over to you so that you can do Matic. And I'm going to look for Kobe's tweet from last night about December 18th because it was eerie.
Yeah, there was somebody besides Kobe who tweeted something out about December 19th. I think it was like Jay Swan or something. I forget his name. No, it was the Jonathan Swift guy from Looking at Bitcoin, I think. Anyway, he posted every year. I'll try to find the tweet too.
I got it right here. This is Kobe's version of it. December 17th, 2017, exact top of the 2017 bull run. December 15th, 2018, the exact low of the 2018 bear market. December 18th, 2019, the exact low of the 2019 mini bear, which probably would have been the bottom had COVID not had that drop. December 16th, 2020, all-time high breakout for Bitcoin. So the question being, December 16th, 17th, December 17th, 2021, what should we expect from here? Is this the breakdown to bear market, or is this ready to pop into new highs. Don't know. But
I've seen a lot of good charts lately. This one I like too from Johnny. This downtrend, or not downtrend specifically, but down channel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something about this time of year, the seasonal rotation thing and all that is like very noticeable.
This was another good one. I'm just like popping them a bunch of stuff, but max pain is around 48K. Surprisingly, that's above where we are now, I think, on BTC for options. There's still like 21 days left or something on that.
Yeah.
So yeah, tons of options expiring at the end of the year. We got that. It's quad witching today.
That max pain, though, honestly, I wish I know max pain is meant to be a point, but still painful as a range would be a nice bonus to that. It's like a center point versus like, very little difference between 40 and 60K, honestly, in terms of overall options impact. But when I look at that chart, for someone's reading this, I wouldn't be surprised by any of those prices as long as it's not above 60K. If it was above 60K, I'd be very surprised. But I could see a 60K pin being just as effective for options sellers. The difference between max pain at 48 and if it's somewhere in the 50s is like nothing. There's no significant difference.
Yeah, just for people listening, this is the derivative options in open interest by strike price. And you can look at that and sort of analyze where do the puts lose money, where do the calls lose money, and then you get like max pain in between those values.
And what you're really looking for in those is like where are like the shelves of significant points, significant strikes, which is a price that someone buys the option at, where there's so much open interest, so many people interested in that level that it makes it structurally just a little more difficult to get outside of that level because of just how derivatives work. So for this December 31st BTC, there's quite a lot of open interest at 60K, and it just typically when that happens, you're just not going to get above it. You might pin it. You could go straight to it, and then it gets squashed from there.
This is the other version. This is the other version of that chart. It's basically rich erect for mid-December, just historically, which is what that other chart was reiterating as well. Send it or end it. I love that as well.
Send it or end it. We really have not had many years where it's just chop, right? Like you just don't have a significant return one way or the other on BTC on an annual basis.
Right. It's telling you to look for volatility, I think, post 19th.
Yeah.
Yeah, where it sits now based on trend metrics, I just don't see anything good about it at all. So we got that. We got percentage of top 100 coins below the 200-day moving average. As of the other day, it was around 52%, something like that. Which historically, since 2021, is quite high. But I think if you look back at everything, this is like a blip as far as percentages go. I don't think this is like tradable information, but just I guess tells you strength and sentiment of the market.
Yeah, just means the market's not got great breadth or whatever.
Well, we talked about that. What else can we talk about? Oh, here's another good one. It's like scary to think about.
The peak after the halving.
Right.
This would be a really lame peak for a post-halving peak.
Do we go increasingly low volatility over time? Do the cycles get longer? Do they get shorter? I mean, that's the basic question that this is asking.
I could see cycles getting longer. That's what I've been thinking. I don't know. I could also see the volatility being lower. This would be a really lame top for Bitcoin in particular. A bit for ETH, it'd be lame relative to other coins. But if you look at ETH, it still looks like it basically has done a market cycle type of potential based on its price action. But Bitcoin's cycle looks much more plain, like less impressive.
I mean, ETH has had a phenomenal year. You can't deny that. Is it been as good as Solana? No.
Yeah, I was going to say, as long as you don't compare it to like emerging L1s.
But, it's had a phenomenal year. Absolutely phenomenal. You can't be disappointed in that.
Chat says
something else. Go ahead.
Tanks in the chat says we traded sideways this entire year, and for Bitcoin, I think you can definitely say that's true. Like, especially on a relative basis, Bitcoin topped basically January 1st, even though it didn't price top until April or whatever when Coinbase went public, and then briefly after that. But yeah, like Bitcoin's been nothing to write home about for all of 2021, pretty much. End of 2020, huge move, 10K to 30K, awesome. It'd be very strange for that basically to be the entire move.
Yeah, it would. But it's like, when is this stuff going to kick in? When is the supply stuff going to kick in for ETH? If anything, ETH has better fundamentals than BTC.
Yeah.
And yet here we are. If we pull up the ETH BTC chart, it's up, sure, but is it roofing? Not really,
I don't know, man. It looks pretty good on my chart, which is unchanged. It looks like
it still looks fine for sure, but
it's like a retest.
My argument is you'd expect more strength here than we're seeing.
That
if the ETH supply stuff really mattered, like to the degree that it probably should matter.
That chart does not inspire me to hold BTC. It makes me think if I'm going to hold anything, I might as well hold ETH.
I'm not going to disagree, but my point is you'd expect more strength out of ETH against BTC. Since May, it's done nothing. Right, because of the burning. Since May, it's done nothing. And when was the EIP 155 thing? Like August, September?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just too impatient. It just hasn't kicked in yet. But yeah, this looks fine. Like, if there's anything that looks decent, it's stuff like this. It's Matic. Matic has anything with that ascending triangle stuff, right? Hasn't made lower lows in months. Looks fine. EPTC, same thing. Hasn't made a lower low since October 18th that week.
Curve still looks amazing on basically all pairs. Curve BTC is the one that I've shown on this show quite a lot, just because it was such a long kind of upper echelon push. Curve ETH is a little more, curvy. But it looks like it's still in an uptrend. And then Curve USD looks like it's yet again trying to break out. I just think Curve's going $10, at least. But Curve's one of my biggest positions, so I'm biased. The chart looks good. Wi-Fi bottomed. You see that?
This caught my attention today.
They're doing
and yesterday and the day before.
I saw Banteg was like, we're doing buybacks, and it was 20 grand. We talked about it, I think, last week. And I was like, I should buy this. They're going to do buybacks. I should buy this. They're going to do buybacks. I should buy it. I should buy. I didn't buy it. and now it's at 32. Freaking A.
But what I was saying 50%. In the pre-show and the pre-show, the only reason it's up is because of the buybacks.
Yeah, that's fine. That's stocks.
Is that a winning trade? Is that a winning trade if you're in it? Of course.
But
should you feel good about that? I don't know.
Wait, why? I
don't feel good about corporate buybacks either.
They're using they're using protocol revenue.
They're using artificial scarcity to pump their nonsensical token that has no purpose. Okay.
The purpose is to return value to the token holders. Is that a security? Yes. Oh my. Have you seen the ETH chart of it?
I looked at it yesterday. I did not look at it.
It looks like a perfect capitulation to recovery.
But this reminds me of the people who are bearish in the S&P, which I am as well. It's like you can't be right until like way after the fact, right? So it's like you could have been bullish on that for 10 weeks and you would have been down so bad that you're just now recouping all of that, you know? Like, yes, you could time it with the buybacks, whatever. I get it, but I don't know. It doesn't scream DeFi to me. Like, we bought back our token because there's none of it available circulating because we purposely made it artificially scarce. I don't know. I just don't. That feels like scammy and scumming to me. But hey,
it doesn't bother me.
It's because you sold your soul weeks ago. The devil, he rang me up. Bring. Brian sold his soul. Do you want to sell your soul?
I didn't buy it.
Click.
I should have. I should have. This is the type of thing that I should have acted on and didn't, and I'm mad about it. I was watching this thing bleed for weeks and weeks and weeks, not doing anything. I saw it capitulating, and I was like, oh, combined with that buyback, that's probably a good buy, but oof, how do I do that? And then it went up 50%. The real test is whether something like this can sustain, or if there's enough bag holders that they're like, oh, thank God I can get out of this thing. It went up 50%. Let me hand this over to a new bag holder.
Yeah, I think it's a great mean reversion. Fundamentally, there's no use case for it. What else you got? Fundamentals tell you what to buy. Technicals tell you when to buy. At the very least, it needs some sort of story or something besides just like, oh yeah, we're buying back. We've got more in the treasury. Here's a tweet. Here's a waifu Weibo tweet. Just like, come on, get out of here.
You remember how I announced the death of the layer 1 trade last week? It turns out Suzu thought otherwise. And
Solana?
AVAX is catching a severe bid. Solana maybe as well by now. Nope. Solana's at 174. Doesn't look bad, though. Looks like its first green week in ages. Solana still looks more distribution-y to me, which makes sense. Top holders are distributing their tokens, so literal distribution.
Yeah, that doesn't inspire confidence on that chart. Just if it's making continuous lower lows, like, why are you bullish? Not you, but people in general.
Mm-hmm. You know what doesn't look good yet?
BTC's breaking down as we yammer on about Wi-Fi. What doesn't look good yet?
Synthetics is now $4.84.
That loves to puke because it isn't quite single collateral, but it's close. And nobody's using it. It's got kind of like illegal.
There's like 18 active traders or something on.
Yeah, I did a great. I'm not going to pat my own back here, but I did a great video on SNX this week. So check that out. I'm
not going to pat my back. However, I'm going to call something I did great. Not good.
I do good stuff. You can't deny it. I'm
going to call it
stuff.
I'm going to call it great. The sushi thing. What do you know about it?
What do I know? I know that there's a bunch of
potential takeover talk.
Baby mama drama on Twitter. That's all I know.
Baby mama drama.
It's a C-suite rage quit because they said they weren't getting paid enough. I don't know. I don't care. I can't be bothered to care about something that on fundamentals should be doing much better than it is on technicals, right? So I'd love to pay attention to everything if it mattered, but it just doesn't matter.
ADA might be one of the worst looking charts I've ever seen.
Ever?
Dude, it looks so bad. That looks like it's just ready for a perpetual forever bleed for like years.
I'm not going to disagree. It had that death cross. Something else we talked about last week, I think. Had a death cross on the daily, right? It's like you can't ignore a death cross that happened for the first time in a year plus. You know, this was the first cross in 570 days. It's over, right? like this might mean revert. It might crisscross, might go sideways, but any rate of change that this had previously is Dunsky. Does that mean it's going to go to 0 or 30 cents or 12 cents or 9 cents? No, but it just means it's certainly not as bullish as it was.
You know what else looks really bad?
Most everything. What is the measured move on this? It's not. It's off the charts. It's so funny.
It's negative.
I can't even measure it.
Dogcoin's getting wrecked. Shiba.
Didn't Elon tweet some nonsense about Doge, that they're taking Doge for merchandise or something?
Yeah, that's just cope. Shiba's down 65% off the top. Only 99% to go.
Yeah, I mean, those people, unfortunately, are going to lose all their money.
Like, this is going to go all the way back down to the range lows, and then it'll base. You'll find people that are willing to buy it when it's 92% down. And then after it ranges there for like 6 months and its relative underperformance is extraordinary, then it'll break down again, go down another 80 or 90%. And then that will equate to the 99% drawdown. And then Shiba will be dead. Sorry.
Yeah, it has no business being anywhere near wherever it is.
Yeah. If you're still in profit on Shiba, consider your options.
Doge the same way, honestly. Like Doge belongs definitely below 100. Definitely below 200 sats. I'll say it like that.
It's at 365. It went above 100. How long did it spend above 1,000 sats? Did it ever get to 1,200? Yeah, it got to 1,200 at the top. So it's already down. You have a quarter of the Bitcoin you once had on a relative basis. It went from 74 cents to 16, and it looks like it wants to go to 1 cent. Like this is real pain. This is dog coin pain.
Dog pound pain. I wish I could be, one of these blind permables about everything. But man, that thing is a disaster. Just like GME, just like AMC, all this stuff, just like Robinhood, all this stuff is wrecked together. And I don't think that it's a coincidence. Stimmies are gone. You can go down the list of all the things that are different.
What's funny is in stocks, they're starting to, like, they try to do a bounce or something, but this is on AMC, there's a perfect short opportunity. It bounced 19% today. It got down to 20. Now it's at 29 a few days later. But it's going right into the floor of breakdown. It's just a quick mean reversion before it gets sold off again. I don't typically like holding short positions in Legacy, but I don't think I'd have any problem holding a short position in AMC at this point.
Tesla as well. Elon can't sell enough of it.
Dude,
we can just go down the list. Everything looks just tragic. Square looks absolutely dumpster fire levels of bad. I mean, that may morph into a falling wedge, but it might take like 6 months to get there,
Yeah, I mean, Tesla just looks like it's going to do a long distribution. I actually think Tesla will probably pump once Elon sells all he needs to sell to pay his taxes or whatever he's doing. I legit think he's just selling to pay taxes, but I don't understand where his tax basis is coming from. Like, did he have liquidation events? Maybe he just sold a bunch of Doge for profit and owes taxes, so he's selling Tesla to pay for his Doge taxes. I like that conspiracy theory. Otherwise, where is his realization from? He knew the market topped, is what the chat says. He got options when he started the company. Yeah, so I guess his options auto-exercise into the stock. Maybe that's where his tax basis comes from.
He was watching the 1618 fib on the stock and decided to sell it. That's what I think. Yeah, Hood's got a weak bull move here, but it's just.
Yeah, so his options expired and he had to sell them. That makes sense. Yeah, Hood is I mean, here, what do you think happens when you say we'll make our IPO available to our users who are unsophisticated investors? They will bid it up instantly to prices that make no sense, and then it'll distribute out as they meet massive regrets. Looks just like an altcoin launch chart.
Yep. That's the hourly. On the daily, it's much quicker. It only took.
Yeah. Like, well, I'm out of here. See you later.
It's down 75% in 133 days. Is that right? Man, that is a nasty looking chart for sure.
Rivian's not at the cascade portion of that, but it's basically doing the same thing. And very similarly, they made their IPO available to the people who've reserved their cars. Looks like it's just ready to roll down the hill.
Yeah, it just looks just like Hood.
Yes, same thing because they did the same thing. Overprice the IPO, make it available to people who don't have any business in it, and then they slowly capitulate, and then they quickly capitulate. Yeah, wow. That square rounded top is bad.
Yeah, this is bad. The reason to care about any of this stuff is if they start selling their Bitcoin that they have in their treasury. Man, watch out.
What?
That's going to be, watch out for Bitcoin.
How much Bitcoin do they have?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Let's take a look. I wish you get the website. I think it's BitcoinTreasuries.net. That's what it is. Boop-a-doo, Tesla has 43,000.
Wow, that's a lot. I didn't realize they had that much.
Square's got 8,000.
8,000.
So,
that's a lot too.
In the grand scheme of things, not that much. But if dominoes start to fall and we're already bearish on BTC, this is going to push the apple cart. For sure, MicroStrategy talking about lending out their BTC, 122,000.
I just think that would be quite poor treasury management for them. If you're these public companies, you should probably be holding your Bitcoin for a really long time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying they're thinking about it. I'm just saying it's a possibility, right?
Yeah, it's a possibility. But I think if they acquired it, a year, 2 years, no more than 2 years ago? It's been probably about a year. It'd be a shame for them to only hold something like that for a year. You'd think they'd get something like that with a 10-year plan. Gold tried to pump today. I think I probably tweeted about the local top. As in, I was tweeting bullish about it, like, oh, look, gold might actually break out. It got faded hard at the end of the day. Gold just can't sustain a pump, man. I don't understand it, but
I can't imagine being a gold maxi and seeing crypto do what crypto's done. Look yourself in the mirror when you wake up in the morning. Like, oh man, I would just feel like a failed individual at that point.
I mean, the weekly gold chart or the monthly gold chart, as I've talked about many times on this show, so I'm sorry, is one of the most gorgeous kind of long-term consolidations where it looks like it should go up a ton. This is a nice chart pattern. You could call it a cup and handle at this point. It really wouldn't confirm its breakout now until a weekly close over 2,000.
It's a generational trade, Brian.
It is the chart shows up as a generational trade. You don't disagree with that, do you?
No, I agree. It's a cup and handle all day long.
And in fact, if you take it out, that was in linear and it looked fantastic, and you put it in log and it looks even more fantastic because it makes this handle look a little tighter. It just looks unbelievably good.
Problem is, we might all be dead by the time it's above 2,000 again.
Yeah, I mean, this handle could easily take another year to play out because I'm on a monthly chart. Yeah, so I'm at December 2022, and it could go from 1,800 to 2K over the course of a year, and it would then look like, okay, I'm ready to take this trade. That's a year from now. Now, gold bugs will say, yeah, I made 10% on the year. And maybe that will be good next year. I don't know. Maybe that will outperform all other markets. And then the trade's just getting started. I can make 10% on stablecoin yield, so I'd rather do that,
right.
you know?
Right.
But gold over 2K, I'd be so interested in that trade. By that point, Bitcoin will probably be ready to go from like, 100K to 250 or something. So it'd probably still be the worst trade, but the chart looks spectacular.
Yeah, it doesn't look bad. You ignore the time frame. You just have to trade your way into 100xing any capital you have and then putting it all in gold as it rotates.
If only someone could have done that, then here you go. Here's your chance.
DXY continues to look strong, which is a real problem for BTC specifically, but crypto in general.
Well, yeah, we need to cover this because we talked about whether it needed to kind of confirm that cloud breakout. And well, here we go. Weekly close. Huge cloud breakout on the Dixie.
I don't think it's longable.
But
it is bullish.
It's no longer in the cloud. Yeah, it's not. If it was to have gone down, then we'd be saying 93, here we come. And now they're like, well, now it's not going to surprise if it goes to 98 from a technical perspective.
Yeah, I mean, that's just not a good look for crypto. We can't, because if Dixie's rising, emerging markets typically are not, is my understanding. And we're so tied to emerging markets risk on type stuff for crypto. Just not where we want to be. I mean, we've talked about this for months.
Ages. And I hate the way stocks look too, and we're correlated to that as well. I don't disagree, man. I think that it makes more sense for a sustained pause. I don't know if that's a year long minus 50% bear market, 2 year long. I don't know what that means. Maybe next year, after a year where all markets went up more than they've ever gone, it makes sense to have a year where they don't go up. That would make sense.
I mean, to most people, a bear market is like sideways. Let's be honest. Most people, a bear market is like forgetting about crypto entirely. We're definitely not there yet, for sure. There's still lots of eyeballs on crypto. I still see stuff about NFTs in mainstream.
Well, and I think it will be
nonstop.
I think it will be forevermore for the most part. I think it's going to be really hard for another bear market to include people completely forgetting about crypto. If the global market was not looking so pathetic, I think what crypto wants to do is a 2 year market, like I talked about last week. I banged on the table. If the legacy market doesn't chill and it enters a contractionary period that lasts a while, that makes it to where the tops could be in on crypto. I wouldn't like it, but it could be. I don't know the answer yet. It's literally a coin toss to me. What would you give it odds? Cycle top in or at least top in for roughly the next year?
I just can't go into 2022 thinking, this should be bullish. No, I'm happy to be proven wrong.
Yeah.
And to see it happen. But ultimately, where the seasonality logic puzzle sits, if something's been bearish for the past 10 years in the first 4 or 3 months of the year, and you're telling me that you want me to be bullish going into that, what? That doesn't make any sense to me. There's no logic there, So I just want clarity. I don't care if it's up or down. Just give me clarity.
I care if it's up or down. I just want it to go up only. I like the up.
Of course, everybody wants up only, but when we don't have up only, when we have chop, and we don't have clarity, people, me specifically, feels better to have an answer on that.
To have a trend.
trend is fine too, but chop is the worst thing imaginable for me personally. Like I just tune it out. I don't want to trade. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to care about BTC. Just let it have its temper tantrum. Let ETH have its temper tantrum. Let Justin Sun become a diplomatic ambassador to wherever he's becoming.
Oh my gosh. I do think the funniest outcome is ETH BTC does really well, but everything goes down. Like that is a funny outcome.
It's that would be a funny, not my preferred outcome, but that would be a funny outcome.
Yeah, it's like that's your way to like 0.14 or whatever is just ETH doesn't go down as much as BTC.
The other issue here is if S&P pulls back, like crypto's not going to randomly be strong against that, you know. Like we are correlating with this 100% all the way down, just like we did in March, you know.
It's super annoying, and that's like a almost 20% drawdown there to your mean on the cloud, on the S&P.
That's 13%. That's still terrifying.
Well, that's a big drop for the legacy market. When legacy markets have a 5% drop, everybody freaks out. More than a 10% drop, legacy market's going to be total markets in turmoil style. Plus, the breadth in legacy is really poor. Been reading about or listening to podcasts about talking about the breadth just across the market. The only reason it's being held up is because like Apple was still making new highs and stuff, and Apple's a huge percentage of the market. And you go down the line and you see stuff that looks more like what we were showing with Hood and Square and all that, where it's already wrecked. So do those recover and pull the market up, or did the Titans fall?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm looking at this in a vacuum and you're telling me I should be longing this up here, there's no shot, as the kids say on Streamerland. No shot am I longing this up here. Get out of here. I want a lower low at least below 42. I don't know, and that scares me. If I want this to drop, crypto will follow. 1 to 100% will happen.
Where will you find the trends that will give you something to do? Like something to trade? Will you just prefer cash?
Right now,
over the next year, if these things continue to roll over.
I can't remember if I was bullish on alts in the end of 2021. I'd have to go back and look like how bullish I was. But that's another thing. Like you tell me people are just as bullish on alts into 2022 as they are in 2021. They're still asking for an alt season. Like, guys, come on. Get it together here.
I just want to see different type of alt moves. I think rotation is still possible. Like we saw that in 2017, 2018 as well, right? Kind of the exit pump stuff, right?
I mean, this stuff's all correlated. Even the dinosaur coins are correlated. LTC and EOS come to mind specifically, but like DeFi perp looks abysmal to me. I don't know, man. No, just there's nothing besides like Matic and Curve, which we already talked about, that just compel me to want to throw money at it right now. And that window is closing fast.
Yeah, I should give an update on Zcash since, everybody knows I went full stand for it and Barry. Third week in a row down. It was like at the precipice of what should have been a breakout, and that was the Pico top. Went from 300, it's down 50% off the top, off the local top. Totally brutal. I held that whole thing, by the way. I am now underwater because my average price was just under 200, I think. 190 maybe. 200, 205. I was like adding the whole, all around 200, so. Doesn't feel good.
Yeah. Tezos, Zcash. I saw DCR this week for the first time in a while.
Oh boy.
That one looks, whew. Oh. DCR is so bad that they have a proposal that passed that they're getting rid of proof of work effectively. It was hybrid. It's still hybrid. It's going to be 1080 in favor of proof of stake rewards. because they have on-chain data showing manipulation. So, good for them. I hope it works out. I hope it works out for Zcash, who argues the same thing. Ultimately, ETH as well. I haven't seen them argue that specifically, but hope it all works out for the proof of stake ors.
I actually still think it's a great relative value. Somebody asked me in chat what percent of my portfolio I put in. It was a pretty personal question, but I'd say definitely 10%. Probably a little more than that in terms of full liquid.
In Zcash?
Mm-hmm.
You put 10% of your worth in Zcash?
Basically.
You gave 10% of your net worth to Zuko's grocery bill?
That's right. Man. That's for me, that's a fairly high conviction bet. And I'm down. And yes, I am a degenerate. Sorry. Do I recommend that for everybody? No. Do I recommend that for my past self? No. Will I hold it? I don't know. Look at the chart. I don't know what to do. It's right on the 200-day moving average. I don't want to capitulate it.
Yeah, I mean, you're supposed to trade the breakout, right? That's basically what you did.
Yeah. And then I lost it, and I just didn't sell it.
I don't hate the idea of the trade, but fundamentally, that thing is just not for me, As
Dynasty says in the chat, I can't dump on my family. And I got my brother to buy it. Now he's underwater with me. He texted me. He's like, you still feel okay about the Zcash trade? Oh, God.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Wag me. Barry will take care of us. He might be early. He might be early.
I mean, tell me this doesn't look exactly like Tezos. It looks the same, but worse. It's like up here still. It's got a ways to go. Look at this drawing by me. I'm so smart.
That's good stuff.
It failed and still worked out. And I'm still holding. Still holding Tezos.
Slow says, trying to learn more about how to manage risk. I don't take portfolio percentage into account enough, and thank you again for answering. Yeah, that's why I wanted to answer. I joke about on Twitter how I'm all in on Zcash or whatever. I'm not actually all in on Zcash. Is 10% of my net worth, or a little more than 10% of my liquid net worth, an uncomfy percentage for me? Yes. Mostly because I'm more in the state of the cycle, I am thinking in terms of dollars more than I'm thinking of how much Bitcoin or how much Ethereum or whatever do I have. I'm thinking of how can I affect and change my life doing this? What's my timeline for my portfolio? And therefore putting that much at risk when you're relatively late in your plan, your portfolio plan, then that is a risk. There's some benefit. I could realize a tax loss or something at the end of the year and then start over in January if I take an L. And it doesn't mean I can't keep holding it. It'd just be annoying to have to sell it and then rebuy it. But either rebuy it or try to find a better place to buy it from. But it was a risk worth taking. It still is. I would prefer not to do anything. Just sit there and hold it and wait until it goes to 1,500 as promised by Barry. The chart is just, it's not, the place to sell it would have been failing the breakout and you're out at 240, 230 on the downside, the first couple of days of the breakdown. And since I didn't do that, now I'm just kind of having to wait until I make that decision, which is more time-based than price-based. So it's not the best strategy for risk management, but I'm just being honest with you where I'm at. And yeah, type in Crypto Cred on YouTube. He's great at talking about risk management as well.
The problem is we can have all these things set up like these breakpoints, right? Cloud edge trades, but that it happens so quickly.
Trade setups and trade management are different.
It is extremely hard to be there at the right time in the right place for that stuff if you don't already have it on the book.
Yeah. And one other element, because it's 10% of my like trade portfolio or whatever. That is, you know, you may think 10%, you idiot, that's too much. I think 10%, that's high conviction, but it's not like, it's not like I'm trying, it's like it's not massive portfolio expansion conviction. When I really feel something, I'll go all in. I don't care. I'll go 100% in ETH or something. Is if I have liquidity in the profile, in the coin, the asset I'm trying to trade, I'll go all in. But my trade management will be much better when I'm all in. When I'm 10% in, my trade management, I can give myself a little more flexibility. I can give myself the tolerance to go down 30%. I'm not going to hold it 90% down. I'm not going to lose the full portion of the portfolio. But like take AVAX as a good example. AVAX is liquid enough to where someone like me can go all in. And if I feel right about AVAX, which like I don't right now, but I did when it was breaking out, you know, I was getting into it Josh has it on the trade, like in the 30s when it made that little flag before it turned into that wedge. You see that, Josh? In the 30s. Yeah, in there. I went heavy. I just kept adding every day. It'd go up, kept adding. It would go up, I kept adding. To the degree that between AVAX itself and Joe and all the other crap in that ecosystem, I was heavy. Heavy. If you have that conviction and then you're right, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly person to person. Personal, for sure. What's your risk? What's your portfolio? Do you have a gambling gene? Are you trading lunch money? Are you multi-year time horizon? Are you, I'm here for this cycle and out time horizon? Are you following every flavor of the day coin that moves? You know, it's easier the more capital you have because then you can be wrong more. You can make more on the upside. You don't have to throw money at every single trade.
Yeah. And to the Zcash thing, I had more conviction before because while I was right, basically. So when someone asked my cost average, if first 190, then 200, then 205, whatever. So my total 200, 205, something in there is where my average is. And it's because I was adding as it was like showing initial strength. Had it kept going up, I probably would have kept adding to it. So it would have ended up more than 10%. When it started going against me, I've not yet been willing to let it go, but I'm not adding to it anymore. I'm not going beyond 10%. There is a chance that I would add to Zcash. One would be if it drops so much so quick that I'm willing to just buy it because I think it's too cheap. Like if it went to $100 and I couldn't get rid of it anywhere between 150 and 100, which sounds dumb, but I would do it. Like that's possible. Things happen to do that in one day sometimes. I would just send a bunch of money and I would buy Zcash in one go at $100. Don't care. If it recovered, say if the chart looks really constructive, it consolidates and it's $200 again, or it's $250, I'd consider adding again. Then I'd be willing to manage that position by adding to it. I'd also be willing to take away from it if there was something else that like gave me high conviction to trade. That's how I do trade management when it's more like full portfolio rebalance type of stuff. That other people, you do what you need to do. That's the way I look at it. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, me, it's like fundamentally, if I'm not on board, then that's my capital size allotment right there. You know,
yeah, you're just not.
That will prevent me from going all in, adding, being wrong for a long time, whatever. Right? Like I'm just out. You know, I took that Zcash trade in like December 2019 or something, whenever that was, where it was showing a bull div for like months, doubled my money, got out. Like, sure, like, but if it's supposed to break out and didn't, fundamentally, it's
doesn't cut it for you.
See ya.
Student ETH asks, considering where we are in the cycle, do you think it's safer to stay in main protocols versus trying to play around in all the dApps in their ecosystems? And for me, the answer is absolutely. We're too late for me to dabble in stuff that's too illiquid. Every time I do that, and it's like late within that ecosystem, everything's going to zero. I currently want liquidity. I want the ability for me to just go be able to sell, have no impact on the price, and get back into dollars or ETH or something safer because because I want to anytime. And if you get into some like tiny cap, and there's a tiny cap for every portfolio size, right? If you got $10,000, there's somewhere out there's a coin with $1,000 volume a day where you could move it. If you have $10 million or $100 million, you can have an effect on markets no matter what portfolio size you have. It just depends where you're dabbling. So relative to your portfolio size, got to think about what impact are you going to have on the market. And the later we are in the cycle, the less impact I want to have on any market that I'm playing in.
Yeah, I think NFTs are late. I think alts are late. I even think stuff like Luna and AVAX is late. Sol for sure late. We talked about this like every single podcast. We're like, these things are up so much in the year. Like, what more do you people want out of this?
One more trade.
People want?
How about one more trade?
Just one more 20% off move, please. I'll do anything. I'll do anything.
I say that jokingly, but I'm for real.
But on his ETH position, though, no, I don't know. I don't have an answer. Nothing looks super compelling besides what we discussed.
I think there's absolutely room in the market for that one more move. Like, if anything, because of where we are in the year, we're so close to the end of the year. I think a lot of front running of end of year stuff is happening right now as it starts to look a little toppy. And I think we could be setting up kind of a sideways type of deal, and we do kind of blow the lid off of it as people get back into markets with their stables or whatever things they put aside in late December, early January.
I think Daddy Warbucks has been on vacation for weeks and leaving us peons to trade amongst ourselves.
Yeah, don't you wish
tiny
you done
pond
that?
of liquidity? Of course, I'm not saying that they were wrong. I'm just saying like that doesn't inspire me to like want to be super active at anything right now. Like just across the board, I don't know. I don't know, man.
I wish I went to like USDC 3 weeks ago and just did other things. I had plenty of other things I could have been doing other than looking at charts.
Yeah, they weren't wrong. Here we are.
But you know what? They're going to be back into the year.
They're going to be back at buying the top of everything.
1st of January. And
they're going to buy my bags. Dang it.
I think they are. I think they probably are. You look for some of these. How will the end of year price action start to shape the narrative? And if we don't get the we got enough of a dump so far in December that it's starting to make me feel like, there's more in it potentially as you get into January and you're, there's a little more. People are willing to go do things. That said, it requires those legacy markets consolidating and continuing upward rather than consolidating and breaking down out of it, because new year, see you later, can't be as good as last year. There will be a trade somewhere. I just don't know where to be. I have not formed my opinion for the next year yet. We will try to do it end of year.
Yeah, I think my default is sideways for 2022 so far.
Yeah.
If BTC breaks 30, then it's a bear market. Otherwise, we're sideways. And that's a massive range.
That's a
people are
terrible.
People are gonna hate that.
They're gonna hate it. I hate it. Like if we did 40 to 60 all year, but I could absolutely see it. That's pain.
That is a different type of pain, but yeah, it is pain for sure.
Let's leave it there.
Yeah. on that happy note, let's leave it there.
I wonder what would be fun during that, right? Like, I hope that we find something fun. That's fun.
I think fun is providing loans or yield,
Just
right?
earning yield while people play the pain.
Right. All people get chopped up to different levels of chop.
Yeah. Thanks for being here, y'all. Merry Christmas.
I was going to say no word, but I didn't.
Bye.
In a house of cards, I feel the breeze wound so tight.